It was hailing bombs in Beirut, Lebanon. And as a family, with my father, my mum, my sisters, my two younger sisters, we escaped by boat to Cyprus. I was about 9 years old, and I vaguely remember my father arguing with the border patrolman to let us through. He was not listening, he was being aggressive, and the border patrolman was not happy with my father. So you can say that the border patrolman sent us back into Lebanon, Beirut, into the war zone. Now, what did my father lack in this situation? Well, he lacked rapport building skills, he lacked listening skills, and most important, he lacked the right mindset to stay calm under pressure. But another time, my father did a brilliant job at selling. We were stuck in traffic, and I was about 8 years old. And now imagine a 1980s summer day in Beirut. There's old Fords everywhere, Mercedes-Benzes, smoke, beeping sounds, and those men with moustaches, because moustaches went in back in the 80s, right? And my father must have angered a man into road rage. This man suddenly appeared at the window of my father's car. He aimed the rifle straight to my father's head, but this time, my father remained calm under pressure. He built rapport, he negotiated, and in just a few minutes, my father had sold the man out of pulling the trigger. My stories may be a little bit extreme, maybe dramatic, and to be honest, I wasn't going to share them. I was kind of hesitant. But then I thought back, most things in my life, whether they were life and death or whether they were subtle, depended on the art of selling and negotiation. Because they could not only save your life, but the life of those that you love, and also knowing how to sell can help you get ahead in life. I personally love the word sales. And I don't try and sugarcoat it for anything that it's not. Now, how many here, when they hear this word sales, they feel a bit uncomfortable? Yep. Okay, this word is a little bit taboo. But we have to accept and embrace it and accept that we are all salespeople, whether we like it or not. Whether you are selling yourself on a first date, whether you are selling yourself at a job interview. How about if you want to start a business? You need to know how to sell, right? Or whether you want to be the person that you want to be in life. So we must first embrace and accept it, or be the person in that corner of the room watching everybody with envy getting ahead. Because I'm going to be blunt right here, right now. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how smart, how PhD'd up you are, or technically brilliant you are, if you don't know how to sell and communicate, you're not going to get very far in life. But I want to establish the two types of salespeople out there. Who has seen this film? It's a great film. However, this film has ruined it for a lot of salespeople out there. This is not the true portrayal of what happens in the business-to-business world, where trust and relationships are the foundations of closing high-value sales. And if any salesperson pulls off those stunts that they pulled off in that film, they would be out the door in less than a week. Now, I want to talk to you about the two types of salespeople. You've got the pushy salesperson, and you've got the consultative salesperson. Now, the pushy salesperson, they have acronyms like ABC, always be closing. The consultative salesperson, they have the same acronyms, ABC, however, they actually mean something totally different. Always be connecting. Pushy salesperson, they talk a lot. They don't listen to what you have to say, and they push their products and services onto you within seconds of meeting you. Consultative salesperson, they listen and find out how they can solve your most important problems and change your life. Pushy salesperson, they walk into a networking situation and they think, I wonder who I can take from here today. Consultative salesperson, they walk into a networking situation and thinks, I wonder who I can help here today. Now that I've established the two types of salespeople and the difference between them and why knowing how to sell is important, I want to share with you how knowing how to sell has changed my life and how it could help you be the person that you want to be. First of all, it has helped me become a more confident person. I learned pretty quickly that it didn't matter how well I knew my pitch or how well I knew my products and services. If I did not know how to sell with confidence and be a confident person, I was not going to get very far. Now, how did I learn this? Well, it was through this one particular experience in Mexico years ago. I worked in selling timeshares in Mexico, and to get a job in this resort, you had to know how to speak English and you had to know how to sell. And there were two sales reps in particular. One was called James and the other one was called Santiago. James, he was English, he had a great accent, he was tall, handsome, dressed in those 3-4-piece suits, he had a PhD, he knew his pitch inside out, and he was well-spoken. This guy was pretty smart. Now, Santiago, on the other hand, his English was not great. He had a heavy accent, he was a high school dropout, he didn't dress well, he was short, a bit stompy, and he did not know much about anything. Now, who do you think was the top salesperson out of these two? Santiago, correct. And some people were surprised. How is Santiago selling? I mean, compared to James, he didn't have a chance. And I did wonder, and I had the privilege of shadowing both these guys and befriending them. Now, Santiago, his secret was he had unshakable self-confidence in himself and in his abilities. No matter how many no's he heard, no matter how many failures he faced, it did not falter his self-confidence. Knowing how to sell has helped me build rapport with just about anybody. People buy people. This was one of the first phrases I learned in one of my very first sales jobs. The trainer, Doug, he wrote this phrase on the board, and he said, people buy into you before they're going to buy your products and services. So if they don't like and trust you, you can be sure they're not really going to buy unless they're dying in a hospital bed and you're the doctor that they don't like. So at the end of the day, we have to start with building rapport and trust with people. Now, most of us know that building rapport has to do with a genuine smile, open body language, taking an interest in the other person, even mirroring and matching, the firm handshake, the eye contact, all that stuff, yeah? But I want to take the concept of rapport further. I want to take it into the online digital world where we spend a lot of our time. Now, I want to ask you, how many times have you scrolled your Facebook feed, your Instagram or LinkedIn feed, and you going through the feed and you are making mental notes about people on your feed, whether they're your friends, family, or strangers? Oh, I like him. He's so inspiring. Oh, Jesus, this woman's so negative. I need to block her. Block. This happens all the time. So we are basically building virtual rapport with people online, and people are building rapport in connection with us when they don't even know us. Now, I had to learn this the hard way. I learned this about 6 years ago. I became a vegan, and I wanted to spread the vegan message, and the best way to do that obviously was on Facebook. So I started spreading my vegan message in a quite aggressive, angry way, and no one was listening. And then one day, as I was frustrated, I thought, what's going on? No one cares about animals, and I was kind of feeling sorry for myself. Then I remembered the phrase that I learned so many years ago, people buy people. And then I thought, of course, I mean, I've been applying this to my sales life, and I've been coaching this to many salespeople. Once I applied this concept of people by people into my animal advocacy, I saw a tremendous change. People started to message me saying, I want to go vegan, or tell me I've been inspired by your posts. So no matter what you want to sell, whether it's your products, services, your philosophy, your ideology, your political beliefs, always think, do people like me and trust me before they're open to my message? Knowing how to sell has helped me persuade and influence. It's like a magic wand, you know? No, I'm joking. It's not a magic wand, but it's helped me persuade and influence. Now, persuade and influence can have a bad connotation because at the end of the day, to be honest with you, it is not a magic wand. Nobody is going to be persuaded and influenced by anything you have to sell if they don't want to buy. Because at the end of the day, people need autonomy in their decision making. Studies show that. And people, we cannot trigger their fight or flight response. So the more we push, the more we're going to trigger that. But we can do something instead. And also studies show that by asking smart questions and getting somebody to think for themselves, when we're more likely to be able to influence their decision. There are 3 things I want you to remember before going out into any sales interaction, whether you're selling your product, services, or selling your ideas. Number 1, people are more likely to buy when they are talking than when you are talking. Number 2, people are more likely to buy when it's their idea than when it's your idea. And number 3, you should never ever begin by pitching, selling, preaching, or providing solutions before the person you're dealing with articulates what they want to gain, achieve, or solve. Now, why is this? Well, sales does take a lot of concepts from psychology and understands human behavior, and they've done a lot of studies on this. And what they understand is when we ask questions, people are more likely to be open. So let me give you an example. Say I went to see the psychologist and I said to the psychologist, well, my husband is an abusive alcoholic, I don't know what to do. The psychologist is not going to say to me, you need to leave that jerk before he kills you. But the psychologist is instead going to ask me questions in order for the decision to be my own. They're going to help me create unique insights and elicit my own thinking. So the psychologist might ask me, okay, so tell me, what would you like to change most about your current situation? And then I'll start thinking what I'd like to change most. And then the psychologist might ask, okay, so based on the challenges that you're having in your relationship, how has this been affecting your life? Let's explore how it's been affecting your life. And then they'll say, okay, what solutions do you think you might need to take, or what action do you think you might need to take? In order for me then to be driven to take action, rather than the psychologist telling me what I need to do. Now, I want to take this same concept and I want to apply it to a product. Say, for example, I'm trying to sell you a printer, and your printer is not working. And I went to you and I'm trying to sell to you the printer. I'm not going to go and tell you how brilliant my printer is because you're not going to listen. I'm going to say, so tell me about your current printer. What would you like to change most about this printer? Then I'll say, okay, based on what you've told me about this printer and the problems you're having, how is this printer affecting your work productivity? And so on and so on. So as I said, always think about getting people to think and believe that something is their idea, rather than you pushing something onto them. That's how we persuade and influence. Knowing how to sell has helped me learn how to understand, how to communicate to people's values. Now, many times when we are communicating to people, we communicate in the values that resonate with us and not with them. How many times have you tried to convince your child, your spouse, your colleagues, based on your own interests and what you value the most? Now, I'm going to give you an example. There was a lady who I was coaching, and she was a travel agent. Her name is Maggie. She told me a story about how she was trying to sell a vacation to a guy called Tony. Now, what was important for Maggie was she wanted, on her vacation, she wanted to relax at the nice beach. She wanted to sunbathe, nice cocktails, restaurant foods, and Wi-Fi, that is not important for her. Tony, on the other hand, was very different in his holiday approach. Tony was an introvert, so he wanted to have a nice modern suite. He wanted to have his bodybuilding food, so he needed a kitchen to cook his bodybuilding food. He needed to have a gym at the hotel, and because he's an entrepreneur, Tony needs to have very fast Wi-Fi. So when Maggie was trying to sell this guy the vacation, she was talking based on her interests, and she lost this guy within minutes. So think about when you are trying to convince somebody, whether it's your child, your spouse, your colleague, or your client, are you talking in a language that resonates with you or with them? And how do we understand their language? Obviously, we need to do a discovery and ask smart questions. Now, finally, I want to leave you with a story which helped me tremendously be the person who I am today, and it's led me onto my personal development journey. It all started with a sales role that I had. I was working in a sales role and I was not selling in this role, and I was quite frustrated. So I was reading every book on sales, and one day I was sitting in the staff room and I was reading about how to overcome objections. And there was a sales mentor. He saw me and he said, I want you to throw this book away. Your only objection is your mindset. What I want you to do, Raina, I want you to try something different. And I said, okay, I'm open. Tell me, what is it? And then he said, close your eyes, and I want you to visualize and feel you are with your customers right now and that you are building amazing rapport. Close your eyes and feel and believe that you are helping them by asking great questions and they're telling you all of their issues. Visualize and feel that you are going to change their life with this product that you're selling. Visualize and feel that they are so open that they are signing the contract and they're so happy, and visualize and feel the number that you're going to sell. And I want you now to open your eyes, write down the number that you're going to sell. Now, when he first told me this, I'm a very logical person. I thought, what is this hocus pocus magic? It's not going to work. Then I thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. Let me try it. So I did try it, and within not even a week, I started selling, and I started to do this every day religiously. And then I thought, imagine what this can do to my personal life. So I started to apply it to my health, my fitness, making money, my business, going on dates. And then I took it further and started to apply it to my morning meditation, and I started to manifest the life that I have today. I've been in sales for 20 years, and something that I've learned through the years, there are 3 things that you need to have to be successful in sales or in business. Number 1 is you need to have courage. Courage is about going out there and understanding, yes, I'm going to get rejected and it's okay, and just keep on doing it. Number 2, you need to have patience. There's something called the compound effect. You plant seeds today, they'll grow tomorrow, but many people, they plant seeds, they stop being patient, and then they give up. And the last thing is you have to have a relentless work ethic. There's no such thing as overnight success. I've paid lots of money for these overnight success courses, and they are all BS. You need to work really hard, and it's going to take time. Anyway, thank you for your time, and go out and sell.